We work with clients who use professional software across a wide range of industries. And now this, of course, does mean that those programs are quite resource heavy. With software like that, it's not uncommon to come across things like freezing and stuttering when you're working with larger projects. And so a lot of IT professionals would see these kinds of issues and think, okay, the first solution here would be let's just throw in more RAM. But the thing is that more RAM isn't always the solution to these kinds of issues. It could come from a number of sources. It's important to be able to rule it out completely before you decide to purchase and install more RAM. The first thing that we recommend before making that kind of decision would be to actually check how much RAM is being used. So we would recommend opening your task manager. We have this performance tab. If you go in here, there's a little subsection for memory. And so you're going to click there, and now we can see how much RAM is currently installed. For me, it's 64 gigs. So in this memory section, we can see how much RAM is currently installed. More important than how much RAM you have is this section over here, committed. The larger number over here is a combination of the physical memory that is installed on your motherboard, as well as something that's called a paging file. It's part of your hard drive that is allocated by the computer for this task of when the RAM gets full, certain information gets transferred from the RAM to the storage. Hard drives and SSDs are meant for long-term storage, but as fast as SSDs are currently, they are nowhere near the speed of RAM. And so this means that we want to keep as much of our information as possible that we are currently working with on RAM. Once it starts getting transferred over to the paging file, that's when you're going to experience a lot of it's not going to be as smooth because the computer needs to access slower storage. Like I mentioned, we can see over here I've got my 64 gigs from my RAM plus another 10 gigs or so from my paging file. This is how much is actually being used at the moment. It's 13.2 across all of that. As this number gets closer to this number, the computer decides to make the paging file larger. But as we can see over here, this isn't being used much. This is pretty much my idle desktop. I have a few windows open on another virtual desktop. On another monitor, I have quite a few Chrome tabs open. But even if I were to open up a bunch of web pages in Chrome, such as my favorite website, modernacomputers.com, we can still see that I'm not using that much. I can open a bunch more tabs and then that's all good. So that's not really what we are looking at here. What we need to consider is under load. So now I've opened up Twinmotion and I'm going to load up a heavy project. Right now we can see things are still quite normal on this side. So we've got this large project and now we are going to see the RAM steadily climb up as it loads it up. We can see that committed and this part of the graph over here are just going to be climbing and climbing. It's just loaded up. You can see over here it has plateaued around here. This is about 30 gigs. This should be pretty smooth, but as we can see, that frame rate is horrendous. You know, once I start moving around, you can see it's not really looking very good. Now, this kind of thing is one of the areas where some people would think, okay, let me put in more RAM. But like we see over here, not that much is being used. We can see that the GPU is actually the issue over here, and that is one of the reasons the RAM is climbing. There's not enough memory available on the GPU. That memory gets used on the RAM instead of the GPU. In short, RAM isn't always the best solution for these kinds of issues, and before you go into spending a lot of money on purchasing more RAM and then realizing you need to spend more money to upgrade something that isn't RAM, it's important to figure out exactly how much RAM you use when your system is under load, and then you can decide on how best to allocate your budget. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found this helpful. If you are currently struggling with a slow computer, you just need to contact us and we'll be more than happy to help. We do have a handy contact us form on our website, modernacomputers.com. You know, just enter some information over here. Let me know what kind of software you're using and your budget, and I will be more than happy to help you. It'll come through straight to me. Anyway, we are going to be uploading more videos like these about different components, and we're looking forward to helping you with more stuff in the future.